Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday Mindshift. Apologies for the late start. Had some still having some technical glitches. Not sure what's happening. I don't have my light. It's not working today. Anyway, welcome. Happy August 4th to everyone. Glad to have you here. Thank you, Leslie, for popping in early or on time. I just noticed this. I was kind of finalizing everything, running behind. It happens to all of us, right? So let me open with a story. Imagine you're standing on a deserted shoreline. It's early morning, it's the dawn. The sun is just peeking above the horizon. Your footprints from the previous journey, from the night before, they're washed away by the tide. But the sun hasn't risen enough to show you the path. At this point, you're neither anchored to the past or have guidance for the future. The stretch of sand, which is bare and empty, it's waiting. And that is the most potent ground you'll ever stand on. Because here in this open space is where your next shape takes form. So today our topic is the sacred space between who you were and who you're becoming. Often when we're in this space, it feels like empty air, right? The old skin has been shed, but we haven't fully moved into the new version of ourselves. And this pause scares us. We think it's a problem. And welcome, Liana and Christy. Thank you for joining. Melanie, glad to have you here. Glad to have all of you here. Thank you for making time in your day to join. So the pause is not the problem. We think it's a problem, but it's not. It's actually the matrix where our new form is generating. I used this quote last week. It still fits for today. It's from Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning. And he said, between the stimulus and the response, there's a space. In that space is where our power lies. So embrace the space. Mark, thank you for joining. Right? Don't freak out in the space. Actually, in Audio Leadership Club kickoff today, we were talking about this, about sometimes we want to keep pushing and our bodies, our systems let us know that time to pause, time to take take the space. So my question is, are you listening? Right? It's important to listen to our body. Pinker, welcome. That when it's calling for us to take the space, we should embrace the space. Don't run from it. Bask in that space. It's your moment to see where the future is going. Next, I want to talk about grief. Now, we often talk about grief when it comes to losing someone, but it's not just in that space that we have grief. We can have grief for a loss of a job, a loss of anything, including the loss of who we thought we were. Sue, welcome. Every version of yourself that you release, there's a moment of grief because it's been you. It's been the version of you that has kept you alive. It's the way you've operated. And just like the grief of losing a loved one, a pet, whatever, we can't ignore it. We have to process through it. We need to let go and honor the old routines, the relationships, the roles that once defined you. You may or may not have heard of the grief cycle, which was published originally by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And she talks about the stages of grief. And these apply to your transformation as much as to your losses. When we're transforming, when we're becoming someone new, a newer version of ourselves, a better version of ourselves. And those, if you're not aware, those are denial, anger, bargaining, depression or sadness, and acceptance. And I learned that it's not a neat wheel that we go through. We don't go denial, anger, bargaining. It's like the hub of a wheel, right? You can bounce between, you could go denial to bargaining to anger to sadness to, everybody's journey is unique. You've got to process through it at your pace, in your way, to move through the stages so that we can get to the final stage of acceptance. Like, okay, it's gone. That version of me is no more. I can let go. I can move into the new version of me. Kenneth, wow, that's a nice surprise. I always love seeing Kenneth's name because I know he doesn't always get to join. So in this space, Zara, welcome. Thank you for coming. To use a technical term, it's called the liminal space. To make it easier to understand, it's the transitional space, right? It's the threshold of the door that we're walking through. We're at the threshold. We're looking through the door. It's a little scary, maybe. We're like, should I walk through the door? I don't know what's on the other side of the door. I know what's on this side of the door. I know the door, but Meryl, thank you. That was probably contributed to my lateness, Meryl, as well, that it probably glitched the system or something. Who knows? But this transitional space, this fertile growth space, think of the caterpillar when they're in the cocoon, right? The caterpillar has to completely dissolve in order to form as the butterfly. And a lot of times when we're going through this transitional or liminal space, we have to dissolve. We have to let go and grieve the old version, shed the skin, and wait in that space as the new version is formed. Just like the caterpillar, the butterfly has to take form bit by bit, little by little, right? This sacred pause is where we build the architecture for our new strengths, the newer, better version. Sorry, I just had a mental flashback. The $6 million man back from when I was a kid. We can rebuild him better, stronger, faster than before. So think of this space, the gap that we're in, is it's the rebuilding. It's the shedding the old and building the structure to create the new. I once heard a story of a little boy. He saw the cocoon, the caterpillar trying to push his way out. He's like, "Oh, the poor thing's working so hard to get out." And he cut the cocoon open so that the butterfly would have an easier time. And then the butterfly died. Because that process of pushing out through the cocoon is part of what strengthens the butterfly so that it can survive. It helps it build its wings, its strength to be a butterfly. So we can't rush through the space. We have to go through it in the right time, right? We have to take the time to release, to dissolve the old, to build the new, to emerge from the cocoon in the right time, not too fast, not too easily. Joseph Campbell, who I love, he wrote The Hero's Journey. He says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." Now, that's Tracy, welcome. Kenneth, you are so kind. Sorry, my brain just derailed. Right? What is the cave? What is the threshold you're afraid to cross? Last week I did a crazy experiment called threshold sessions. These were a chance for people to name the threshold, name the old version that they were ready to let go, and then have a quick, potentially life-changing call, potentially, because it was random, no schedules, no booking links, none of that. It was put your statement and I will call some people, the ones that resonated. Now, in the transition, resistance surfaces because we might be unanchored. We crave certainty, and we tend to hold on to that old self or rush to the new. I want to tell you, like I said before, in my own experience, we have to let go of the old, and we have to take the steps in the right time as we move to the new. And this is something that can happen multiple times in your life, where you're letting go of an old identity, an old self, and you're moving into a new self. Yep, I remember Farrah Fawcett, Charlie's Angels. The gift of the space is learning to sit with not knowing until the clarity appears, until it emerges of which way we're going. I love the way Brene Brown says it. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. So here's a question for you before I rush ahead. I don't want to rush Wonder Woman. We're on a superhero diatribe. Yeah, I can imagine, Pinker, that is um, a big learning experience to figure out who you are on the other side of a relationship, of letting go of that and who you had to be in that relationship. But my question is, what part of your old identity do you already miss, and what did it give you? If you want to answer in the comments, that's great. But a lot of my questions I ask are for you. They're not for me, they're for you. So think about that question. What part of your old identity do you already miss? And what did it give you? Because understanding that can help you as you rebuild the new. Because every behavior, every thought, everything, it's all about fulfilling a need in us. So part of the transition is, how do I meet the need in a new, better way? How does my new version of me, who I'm becoming, provide the same need in some way? And another question. Yeah, the invisible plane, guys. How did she know where to find it? That's the question that plays in my head. If it's invisible, how could she find it? All right, but our next question. As you dwell in the pause, maybe you'll discover what new needs or long buried desires are surfacing. I'm getting to watch this firsthand with my wife. She's been going through this grieving process of letting go of an old version of herself and discovering old loves and new paths. She recently became a writer on Substack. This and wants to learn to draw. This from the woman who told me constantly, I have no creativity. We're working on her first book, which is a journal. It's a 90-day journal of healing for women. Her target is specifically for women, to share her experience and her journey in a way that might help others. So think about that, in the pause, in the space between old and new, look at your needs. Look at your desires. What are long buried? What are new desires, perhaps? Yes, and the funny thing is, Sue, is after she finished that, she thought, one and done, I'm good, I did it. She went out for a walk, and she comes back and she's like, I'm writing another book. I said, oh, really? What happened? She's like, well, I was out on my walk and all the ideas started swimming in my head. The downloads were coming. Because, as we said, she embraced the space. I've seen it in my own journey, embracing the space, letting things come, sometimes taking a step back to reevaluate, to let the old wash away, as we did in the story, right? The old footprints wash away and waiting for the sun to rise to see the new path, the best path. All right, my next question. If you gave yourself permission to fully feel the grief, how would your next self show up differently? And Pinker, I would love to hear, what is it about the past, if you're willing to share, that's hard to let go? Because that's part of the journey of my wife's writing, both on her Substack and in her book, is she knew she needed to let something go, but she couldn't let it go. It was persistent, we'll say. And the past can be that way because of the meaning we give it. And that leads to the next part of the talk. Integration of ourselves. It's the bridge between then and next. So my question on that, Pinker, about past mistakes. Can we change the mistakes? We can't do them differently. We can't go back in time. As far as I know, nobody's invented a time machine, so we can't go back and make a change. But what we can do is to focus. Exactly, Ashif. Focus on building the new. In my journey, I had old thoughts that I wanted to get, I'm like, oh, I want them out of my head. And fighting against them to fight, like, no, I don't want to have that thought. It didn't work. The harder you fight it, the stronger it is. It fights back. It will resist. As I said, resistance surfaces. When we push against it, it will resist. But by bringing in the new, by embracing and building the new, there's not space for the old. The old has to leave. So what I had to learn to do is to replace the old thoughts with new thoughts that were more accurate for the current state. The mistakes, we're not giving the mistakes a pass. We can acknowledge, we can own the mistakes, but we don't have to beat ourselves up over it. We can take the learning and move forward, build a new, better way. I don't deny my mistakes. I learned a lot, and some of my mistakes helped me get on a better path. And they saved my life. But in the moment, today I can stand here and say, not only do I accept them and I've stopped beating myself, I'm actually grateful for them because they made me better today. Some of the things that I've done is writing letters or journaling to myself, have a dialogue with the old me. Practice rituals, just like when we're mourning a loss, Many people have rituals to release the loss, to get through the loss. Yeah, I remember Twilight Zone. And I also remember, I've seen it a few times. I don't remember H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. And I also remember that a lot of times he went back in the past and made changes, and a lot of other stories where people went back in the past and thought they could make it better. Back to the Future, for example. They tried to make changes and they usually made things worse. Right? It's easy to sit here today and say, oh, if I'd only done that. I like the way Ashif, let's let go of that, not focus on fighting those old memories, those old mistakes, and build new, build better. You can use movement practices, what they call somatic practices. Character flaws, that's deep. Saint of Sins. Because character flaws, it's a judgment. And if they're character flaws, think of it this way. The way I look at it is, if I want to be somebody, I look at my new version. Who do I have to be? When there was a book I read called The Ultimate Coach, really powerful book. And the instructions of the book said, as you read this, don't read the story about who it's about. Read it about you. Ask yourself, in order to be a better husband, a better father, a better entrepreneur, whatever it is you want to be, who do you have to be? And practice embodying it. But character flaws, you see, I actually covered this on my Substack notes, the 5 psychological truths that will wreck you if you ignore them. And the first one was about you're not who you are. You're who you practiced being. Right? Our personality is not a fixed thing. It's who we practice. It's who we learn to be. So it's changeable. It's moldable. But as we said before, if we fight them, they will resist. Some of my own practices to deal with this was using breath, mindful breathing, movement. I just was reading about a professional runner who, as he was doing the competitions and he felt like his energy was done, like he's like, I can't go on. He had a song that he would play in his head and sing, and it was Queen's It's a Kind of Magic. And he said that those moments, Michael, thank you, good to see you. In that moment, like, he got the recharge, the reset to the goal, like it helped push him towards the goal. So all of these can help us release the old, right? Breath, movement, solitude, something that a lot of times we all want to avoid, right? Boredom, especially in this hyper-connected, always on social media everywhere world, right? What do? Every 10 seconds, we grab the phone and we check. Habitually, automatically. Sometimes it's good to just put the phone down, go away, go for a walk, go sit at the park, enjoy the breeze, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the rain, and just take a sacred pause. Exactly, Sue. A lot of pop stars, a lot of celebrities, sports celebrities, etc., they have rituals before they perform, whether it's on stage or in the game or whatever. In fact, Beyonce had an alter ego she called Sasha Fierce, which gave her the strength and the courage against imposter thoughts and fear, and it gave her courage to stand up on that stage and perform. So, who's your alter ego? The ideal version of you. Give it a name. That's powerful. Right? You can give the old identity a name and say, bye-bye. I'm letting you go, Bob, or whatever you call it. And look at the new version of you. Yeah, so definitely read about Sasha Fierce. And you can use an anchor, a music, a breath, whatever it is that will help stabilize you in the pause. We really have, Meryl. That's why on my phone, 90% of notifications are turned off. I get notification if my wife messages me or a family member's messages me. But social media, there's no ding, because I found myself like every time that stupid thing went ding or bling or whatever the sound was, I had to check it. And I caught myself, I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm like Pavlov's dog, as Meryl said. So today I've learned to shut the notifications off, to use, on iPhone, you've got the focus modes where you can set to disable all the notifications. You can let certain ones through, the important ones, and everything else is gone. It will shut it off. Or, I have my phone set to automatically go into do not disturb at 7 p.m. every night. 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., it's in do not disturb. And all the people that know me, that really know, say they know not to try to get a hold of me after 7 p.m. unless it's a dire emergency, because I'm probably not going to see it. So this leads perfectly to our final question for today, which is, what simple ritual can you create today to honor the sacred in-between moment? There it is on the screen. What simple ritual can you create today to honor not just this, your sacred in-between moment? Yeah, exactly, Leslie. Turn it off so we can focus on what's high value, what's most important in our life in that moment. I spend time with my son, and like dinner, we have a rule. Spencer, thank you for joining. New face, welcome. We have a rule. At dinner time, nobody has any technology on the table. My son, he's 7. He wants to bring his tablet and watch his videos, or he likes to think he can multitask. Anybody who's been around knows that multitask knows it's false. There is no multitasking. It's called task switching. Our brain cannot multitask. It actually has to switch between tasks, which makes it less efficient at all tasks. But he likes to, oh, just can I have a special night? No, we have a policy, no technology. We don't take phones in the bedroom. Right? I have my charging in my office. My wife has it out by the TV. And when we go to bed, there's no tech. So there's no possibility of opening something and scrolling when you can't sleep. Or if you do, you got to get out of bed. All right, so I'm going to share the link. And open it up. If anyone wants to come on stage and share about the person they're letting go. Exactly, Sue. So we just hold fast to the rule. No tech at the dinner table. I don't have it. My wife doesn't have it. He's not allowed to have it. Because it allows us time to focus on our eating, to eat mindfully, to communicate, human to human. Or when we go out for our walks from time to time, when the weather permits, because it is rainy season in Guatemala, and we don't go outside when it's raining, because it rains buckets and buckets. So although it's warm, it's not cold rain like in the UK or other places. But if anybody would like to jump up on stage and share about your time in the middle space, about the version you're letting go, about rebuilding the new. How do you manage it? What are your struggles? What are your challenges in that space? Love to hear from you. And by the way, Leslie, I love your new trailer on your Monday call. Got my brain working. Like, what can I add? What could I add to mine to make it like that? It's got my brain working. The new Monday mind shift. Anybody? I feel so lonely up here. I miss my co-host. Anybody? I hate silence is okay though. I have to remember that. Sue.
Sean, can you hear me?
Yes, I do. I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, that's exciting.
Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. I don't have anything very intelligent to say like you, but you said you were feeling lonely, so I thought I'd come up here and
Well,
I
I
thought it
appreciate it.
and I thought it might encourage other people to come up as well when I'd had my 5 minutes. So,
Yeah, who knows?
oh hello.
But
No, that's
talk to me about like what's the like that do you have any answers like who's the version what's the old identity that you're letting go of or what are new passions or needs you've discovered in your journey in the transitional space.
Sean, I have an echo. It's best I leave. I have a terrible echo.
Okay, it might be just a reconnect, Sue.
Wow. Well, I'm going to be the same but different. I think I'm going back to Clank Connect, but a different person to the one I was when I came to Birmingham.
All right, is the echo gone? No.
No, sorry. I've had this with bringing humanity together, Sean. It's why I don't tend to come up on the stage. I better go down, okay? See you
All
later.
right, thanks for joining, Sue.
I've got to figure out how to get out of here first. Hold
There, you
on.
can just close the tab.
Okay.
All right, well, Sue, thank you for popping up anyway. I understand, Angie. I appreciate the thought, and I love to see that you're here on my show. I get on your shows a lot, and I don't know who LinkedIn user is, but they make a very valid point. 95, that's a much higher number than I've heard, but I've heard a large percentage of the things we worry about, the things we fear, don't actually happen. You know, focus on opportunities as they shared, focus on the new environments, new people. Yeah, and when we do what we've always done, we will get. LinkedIn user is lows, lose. Now I see it. I don't know why Restream doesn't show me when I look at LinkedIn because I run LinkedIn on my phone because that's the only way I can comment. Yeah, it's very true, Luz. We are often worry about things, and most of it will never happen. It's been shown again and again and again that we're we're causing ourselves stress for things that aren't going to happen. So I want to go back to the character flaws because character flaws, we often see things as character flaws because we've adopted an identity. Instead of I made a mistake, we turn it into I am a mistake. And we adopt that identity of I had this in my own life. My mother, young kids, you have a tendency to trip and stumble and spill things. And my mom was really good about, oh, you're such a klutz. You're so graceful. And so I adopted that identity. Yep, I'm a klutz. I'm a klutz. Today I stand here and go, that was just ridiculous. Did I stumble? Yes. Does everybody stumble? Yeah. We drop things, we spill things. It doesn't have to be, it's not who I am, it's what I did, what happened to me. So we have to learn to separate from those. We change the story that we're telling ourselves. Maybe we say, I'm unlovable, I'm irredeemable, I always fail, I always spill, I always trip over my own 2 feet. And then we challenge, what we do what is to challenge it. Because if I say I'm irredeemable, have I done good in the world? I'm sure I can find evidence. If I say I always spill my drinks, are there times when I had drinks and I didn't spill? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Are there times where I walked with extreme coordination? Yep. I got really good at it in school because the bullies like to try to kick my foot out from under me. And so my way of dealing with that was to learn to hold my balance better. So they would have to really work hard to trip me. They weren't going to trip me easily. I still tripped over my own feet. But when somebody tried to trip me, the key thing is we have to separate the past. It's who we were. Keyword being were. We don't have to stay there. It's data. We can adapt, we can change from that. Right? We can make amends when we look at it as data, as information to make a shift rather than our permanent story as a final verdict of our value or our worth. Right? Let your actions be your teacher and not your judge. Right? And think of growth. It's not linear. It's not step A, step B, step C. It's step A, step Z, step Y, step backwards to, -2. It's a, I've heard it, it's a spiral. You can spiral up, you can spiral down, you can fall down the middle. It's a process. Enjoy the journey. Live in the now. Practice letting go of things. Start small. What's something silly you did yesterday that you wish you hadn't done? Let that go. Practice with the small things and move to the bigger, step by step. Right? And practice this. You might revisit the same terrain. You might seem to be going around in circles, but each time you come back to the same spot, you're not the same. You have new knowledge, you have new information for the next step. Okay, LinkedIn, cooperate with me. I see Sue commenting on, there we go. Yeah, I love that, Meryl. Change the way you look at things. Things change the way you look. And I've heard other ones similar. You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. Or we could update it You can't change your past, but you can change your past. You can change the way you look at your past, right? You can change the way you embrace the past, right? We're talking about letting go the old version of ourselves so that we can emerge as the new. Yeah, new and improved. My mother-in-law used to be notorious for buying stuff. Why'd you buy it? Oh, because it said new and improved. Okay. Because we like new, better, improved. But the key thing is, that's an new and improved. It's kind of, I don't remember what they call it, but is it new or is it improved? Can't be both. An irony, is that what it is? I don't remember. I would bring it down to this. It's all about love. And that love starts with you. Practice loving yourself unconditionally and watch how things change. Right? The Bible says it. Love others, love your neighbor as yourself. The lesson's right there. You gotta love yourself first. When you love yourself, you live differently, you act differently. And remember, character flaws, they're just the story we've been believing. We can change them, but it takes time. It takes effort. You have to release, grieve, go through the process, right? Anger, denial, sadness, acceptance. It's a process and it's a spiral. Yes, boundaries are important, Sue, and they're often misunderstood. I had a situation. I was in what was supposed to be a psychologically a safe zone, right? A confidential zone. A place where people could get vulnerable without fear that what they shared would be shared outside of the group. Yes, boundaries is a whole series, not even just one episode. It's a whole series. Anyway, this person broke confidentiality. And I was practicing forgiveness, okay, I forgive them. And when I saw this person, I was incorrectly like saying hi and trying to be friendly. And one of the leaders said, you don't have to include him in your life. You can forgive him and never talk to him again. You don't have to be friendly with that person. They hurt you. They violated your trust. You don't ever have to let them back in your circle again. But the key thing is forgiveness is letting go, right? Holding on to something without forgiveness, once I heard it, is like drinking poison and waiting for them to die. Or another way I heard it is it's like grabbing a hot coal so you can throw it at them. Who's going to get hurt more? Holding on to resentment is toxic for you, because usually the other person's moved on. They're oblivious. Thank you for that, Meryl. I'll have to check it out. Anyway, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for carving time out of your busy day to be here. I love doing these. I would love to have more interaction, but it is what it is. I know a lot of people are busy. They're not in a space to join the stage. Last I heard, my co-host was battling viruses at home. So hopefully she's getting well and winning the battle. Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome week. Practice letting go. Go through the grief process as you release the old you. You can't rush it. It won't serve you. You've got to go through the process in your time. Thanks again. Have a great week. Take care.